Good evening, everyone. In the last session, we have seen what is the TypeScript, how to compile TypeScript program, and how to execute that program as a JavaScript. How to execute the JavaScript from the command prompt and how to execute the JavaScript in the browser also. Fine. We have seen what is variable, what is the data type, what is the constructor, what is module in the TypeScript. Now, from today, we are going to continue our main area, that is Angular. Our main focus is to learn the Angular. Before going to start learning Angular, we have seen what is the TypeScript and how to work with TypeScript. Good. Now, what is Angular? Angular is a client-side framework developed by Google. Angular is a client-side framework developed by Google company. Angular framework is developed based on TypeScript. Angular framework is developed using TypeScript. Angular is a client-side framework developed by Google. Angular framework is developed using TypeScript. Angular is mainly used for single page applications development. We already understood what is single page application. One web page will be available for every request. It will just give the response. Angular is mainly used for single page applications development. Angular supports multiple devices like mobiles and desktops. Whatever the application you develop by using Angular, that application will work in multiple devices. Angular application you can access in the browser, and Angular application you can access in the mobile also. And Angular application supports multiple browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, like that. There are several browsers available in the market. Angular application supports multiple browsers. Angular is a free and open source framework. It is developed by Google. It is a free software. From Angular 2 version onwards, it is called as Angular framework. Angular JS and Angular both are not same. As we discussed in the previous class, Angular JS developed by using JavaScript. Angular is developed by using TypeScript. Angular 1 is called as Angular JS. Angular 2 is called Angular. Both developed by Google only. Both developed by Google only. All right. Could you please read these points? What is Angular? Why we are going for Angular? Angular is a client-side framework developed by Google company. It is used to develop single page applications. It is developed by using TypeScript. It supports multiple platforms. It supports multiple browsers. It supports multiple devices, multiple platforms, multiple browsers, and multiple devices. All right. Angular JS available, Angular available, both are not same. Both are developed by Google only, but Angular developed by TypeScript, Angular JS developed by JavaScript. From version 2 onwards, it is called as Angular framework. From version 2 onwards, it is called Angular framework. All good? Now, from Angular version 2 onwards, it is called as Angular framework. The current version of Angular is 14. All right, next one. Let's understand how to install Angular first. Angular environment setup. We have already seen how to install TypeScript. So to install the TypeScript, we used Node.js. First, we have downloaded Node.js. By using that npm, we installed TypeScript. So download the Node.js, install the Node.js. Then we install the TypeScript. Let me go with the VS Code IDE, Visual Studio Code. In the Visual Studio Code, we have a terminal. In the Visual Studio Code, we have a terminal. Now, here, let me open the terminal by using Visual Studio Code IDE. Terminal is available, new terminal. When I click on the terminal, by default it is opening a PowerShell. Let me change to command prompt. I change it to command prompt. Here you can see npm-v. Now Node Package Manager is installed, 8.9.12 that is available. And we can see TypeScript also installed, tsc-v. TypeScript version 4.9.3 got installed. Now next step is we need to install Angular. Installed Node.js, installed TypeScript, installed Angular CLI. So to install the Angular CLI, we will execute this command. npm is already available. By using this npm, we can install the Angular. npm install @angular/cli-g. By using this command, we can install Angular in our system. Let me execute this command. npm install @angular/cli-g. -g represents global. It is downloading Angular software in my machine. It is downloading Angular software in my machine. All right. So let me complete the setup of the Angular. Already we have done Node installation. Already we have done TypeScript installation. Now we are installing Angular by using npm. npm stands for Node Package Manager. npm stands for Node Package Manager. All right. It is taking some time, guys. Let's wait. Let's wait. Yes, so ng got installed. Let us check the version. ngv, ng nothing but Angular, guys. I'm trying to check the version of the Angular which is installed in my machine. You see, this is the command which I have executed. npm install -g TypeScript, tsc-v to check the version of the TypeScript, npm install Angular CLI, ngv which is used to display Angular version. Angular 15 version is installed. So when I execute ngv, Angular CLI is displaying Angular CLI 15. The current version of the Angular is 15, not 14, guys. The current version of the Angular is 15. Okay, so with this we are able to install TypeScript, and we are able to install Angular also. Here I'm creating one folder called ng workspace. ng workspace nothing but it is my Angular workspace. From this location, I will open my VS Code IDE, code space dot. So from this location, my VS Code IDE is opened, ng workspace. In this ng workspace, currently no projects are available. Go to terminal, open cmd, command prompt. Yes, PowerShell I have deleted and I have opened command prompt. In this, we can check node-v, node version is available, and tsc-v is available, ngv is also available. So node version 18 is installed, node version 18 is installed, TypeScript version 4.93 is available, Angular 15 is installed in our system. So with this, Angular is ready. The environment setup is ready with the machine. Now we can start creating our applications. Before going to create the application, let us understand what are the building blocks of the Angular. In the Angular, when we are working with the Angular, these building blocks will be available. So Angular, we already discussed theoretically. Angular is a client-side framework developed by Google. It is developed by using TypeScript. It is used to develop single-page applications, supports for multiple devices, supports multiple browsers, free and open source. Angular current version is 15. And we have seen how to install the Angular also. Now, before going to do this, we are going to understand what are the building blocks of the Angular. Can you read these names, 9 building blocks? Guys, are you able to write the building blocks of the Angular? Are you able to understand the building blocks of the Angular? What are the building blocks? If you want to work with Angular, you need to know components, metadata, template, data binding, module, service, dependency injection, directives, and pipes. These are called as building blocks of the Angular. So if you want to work with Angular, you need to know this terminology: components, metadata, template, data binding, module, service, dependency injection, directives, and pipes. Now, here guys, let us understand what is architecture of the Angular. Then you will know what are the building blocks available in the Angular. In the Angular, basically, we have a concept called components. In the Angular, basically, we will have a concept called component. Angular component is equal to our controller in the Java, which is responsible to deal with request and response, right? Controller will deal with request and response. In the Angular, we have a component, and every component in the Angular will have a concept called template. Every component in the Angular will have a concept called template. Template is nothing but a HTML file, basically web page. Template is nothing but a HTML. Component is nothing but a TypeScript class. Component is a TypeScript class. Component, every component will have a template. Every component will have a template. Component and template will have a interaction. That interaction is called as data binding. Component and template will have a interaction. That interaction is called as data binding. Data binding. First of all, what is a component? Component is a TypeScript class. If you create Angular application, one component will be created by default. If you create a component in the Angular application, then if you create the Angular application by default, TypeScript class will be created. That is called as a component class. That is called as a component class. And every component will have a template. Template is nothing but HTML. Component will send the data to the template. Template will send the data to the component. That concept is called as data binding. Data binding is a technique which is used to send the data from the component class to template and from template to component. Data binding is a technique which is used to send the data from component to template and from template to component. This is two-way data binding. Simple. Controller to JSP, JSP to controller. Front-end data will go to controller, controller data will go to front-end. Same thing we will do by using component and template. Component will contain only request and response logic. Now, for the component, we will use a service. Every component will have a service. Service is also a TypeScript class which contains business logic. Service class will be available in the Angular. Service will be available in the Angular. Service is also a TypeScript class. Service is used to write business logic. Service class will be available. Service class is used to write the business logic. Service will be available. Service is used to write the business logic. Service class will be injected to component class. This is called dependency injection. In the Spring, we have a dependency injection. One class object we are going to inject into another class object. One class object we will inject into another class object. Similarly, service class will contain the business logic. Service class will contain the business logic, right? That service class business logic we will access in the component. So if a component class want to talk to service, service class object we need to inject into component using auto wiring. In the Spring, we are going to use auto wiring. Similarly, here in the Angular also, dependency injection concept is available to inject a service class into component class. What is the service? Service is a TypeScript class, a TS class. This service class contains business logic. What business logic will be available? This service class is going to talk to our backend components, backend APIs. Service class will use HTTP module. Using that HTTP module, service class will communicate with our backend REST APIs. Okay, Spring Boot REST API will be available in the backend. That service class will talk to our backend REST API. So where is the business logic to integrate the front end and backend? To integrate the front end and backend, service class will contain the logic for that. Service class will talk to our REST API, or boot REST API. Boot REST API will give the response to service. Okay, so component, service, template, dependency injection, data binding. Okay, what is a component? Component is a TypeScript class which is used to deal with request and response. Component is also called as controller. It is a controller in the Java. Okay, in the Java we will have the controllers, but here we will call them as a components. Components. Come on, guys. Okay, guys. Component is a TypeScript class. Data binding. Data binding is a technique which is used to share the data between component and template. What is a template? Template is a HTML file. Template is a HTML file. Template is a HTML file. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Now, inside this template, inside the template, we will have a concept called directives. Directives will be available and pipes will be available in the template. Template will use a concept called directives and the template will use a concept called pipes. Inside the template, inside the HTML file, directives will be used and pipes will be used. Inside the template, directives will be used and pipes will be used. Template will talk to a directive and a template will talk to a pipe. And here modules will be available. Modules are used to package one set of functionality into one module. Module is kind of a packaging concept. Module is a kind of a packaging concept. Are you guys clear with the Angular architecture now? Are you guys clear with the Angular architecture now? Component will be available. Component represents small portion in the web page. So if you go to a web application, so here body section is available. Body section will represent one component. If I go to angular.io, here menu is available. Menu will represent as one component. Get started is one component. Adding navigation is one component. Managing data is one component. Forms data, it is one component. So whenever you do some action, one component will execute. Component is a class. Angular application is collection of components. Components will be available. Angular application is a collection of components. In components, we will write the logic to send the data to template and capture the data from the template. Components are TypeScript classes. As I told you, in the Angular architecture, component will be available. Components are used to send the data to the template. Components are used to send the data to the template. Okay, component will send the data to the template and the template data will be sent to the component. Right? Component is a class. Angular application is nothing but collection of components only. Angular application is nothing but a collection of components only. In components, we will write the logic to send the data to template and capture the data from the template. Components are TypeScript classes. Components are TypeScript classes. Come on, guys. Are you able to follow me? Are you guys able to follow me? Components available, service available, templates available, data binding is available, directives available, pipes available. What is a component? Component nothing but collection of collection of components is called one Angular application. Angular application is a collection of components. In components, we will write the logic to send the data to the template and the template data to the component. Components are TypeScript classes. Components are TypeScript classes. Guys, are you able to understand what is a component? Are you able to understand what is a component? Components are nothing but TypeScript classes which will contain the logic to send the data to template and the template data to component. What is a template? Template is a HTML file. Which component data should be displayed, where to display. Every component will have a template. So there will be a relation between the component and the template that is called metadata. Metadata represents metadata nothing but data about the data. Metadata nothing but data about the data. It provides information about the components and templates. Okay, which component belongs to which template, that will be configured as a metadata. Okay, login component is having login HTML, register component is having register HTML, forgot password component having forgot password HTML. Which component belongs to which template? Because in the application multiple components will be available, multiple templates will be available. Which component belongs to which template, the relation will be available in the component as a metadata. Then what is a template? Template is a view file where we will write our presentation logic. Okay, now template is a view where we will write our presentation logic. In Angular application, template is a HTML file. Every component contains its own template. As I told you, component will have the logic to send the data and receive the data. Where the logic should be displayed? To display the logic, there is a presentation file. HTML is our presentation file. Every component will have a HTML. Template is called as a view in the Angular. Template is a view where we will write our presentation logic. In Angular application, template is a HTML file. Every component contains its own template. Template is a view where we will write our presentation logic. In Angular application, template is a HTML file. Every component contains its own template. Then what is the data binding? Data binding is the process of sending the data from component to template and template to component. It is a data binding technique. Component template will have a relation. Which component belongs to which template? That data will be available as a metadata. Then what is a template? Template is a view where we will write our business logic. In Angular application, template is a HTML file. Every component contains its own template. Every component contains its own template. Got it. Now, what is the data binding? Data binding is the process of binding data between component property and view element in the template. So sending the data from component to template, template to component. That means if you submit the form data should come to component. That process will be established. That data transfer we can do by using data binding. Binding the data between component class variables and template fields. HTML fields will be available, component class variables will be available. We need to bind the data between component class variables and template fields. That is called data binding. Then next one, module. Module is nothing but collection of components, directives, and pipes. It is something like a package, one module. Login module components, login module template, login module services will be packaged as one module. Login related, admin related components, admin related templates, admin related services will be packaged as one module. So multiple modules will be available to differentiate same category of components, templates, and services. Modules nothing but packaging type. Service. Service means it contains reusable business logic. Service classes will be injected into components using dependency injection concept. We already know what is dependency injection. The process of injecting one class object into another class object is called as dependency injection. So service class will contain a business logic. So to access that business logic in the component, controller will talk to service class na. In the normal Java application, controller will talk to service. Here controller is called as component. Component will talk to service. Service will contain the business logic. Service is a TypeScript class. So if a component want to access the service class method, service class object should be injected to component. So service class is a TypeScript class which will contain the business logic. TypeScript class will be injected into component class by using DI, dependency injection. Dependency injection. Service means it contains reusable business logic. Service classes will inject. Service classes will be injected. Service classes we will inject into components using dependency injection. Okay, dependency injection means what? Dependency injection is the process of injecting dependent object into target object. In Angular applications, services will be injected into components using DI. So in the Java, service class will be injected to controller. In the Angular, service will be injected into component so that the component can access the service class methods. What will be there in the service class? Service class will contain the validation logic, calculation logic, manipulation logic, and accessing the backend REST API. So this is a front-end application only. All this part is a front end. Okay. Now here my backend REST API is available. When you perform some operation in the front end template will be available. Your presentation will be there in the template. User will perform some operation on the template. When user performs some operation on the template, then that request will go to component. Okay, component will talk to service. Service will talk to backend REST API. Component will talk to service REST API. Service will talk to REST API. Now, so template will have a business logic. Then what is the directives? Directives are used to manipulate DOM elements in the presentation. In the template. Directives are used to manipulate the DOM elements in the template. Manipulating the DOM elements nothing but so displaying the data conditionally. If, else, loops, like that conditionally, I want to display the data. To display the data conditionally, we will go for directives. Okay, what is the pipes? Pipes are used to transform the data before displaying. Right guys, directives are there. Directives are used to manipulate the DOM elements in the template. Pipes are used to transform the data before displaying. Directives are used to manipulate the DOM elements in the template. Pipes are used to transform the data before displaying. So what is the meaning of directives? Directives nothing but they are used to manipulate the DOM. DOM nothing but document object model. Document object model. So now my data is displaying in the front end. That front end data I want to manipulate based on some condition. Based on the conditions I want to display the data. If a condition satisfied, display one section. If a condition not satisfied, display another section. So like this, let me show you how it will happen conditionally. Let me go to Citibank. Let me open one web application called Citibank. Now you see here if I click on login, Citibank application is displaying. Citibank application is displaying. See here, when I enter QPIN, some value is happening. Click on login. Enter, close this window. Enter your user ID. Something like this. I'm entering some user ID. Invalid user ID, forgot user ID. When I click on forgot user ID, when I select this value, some buttons are going to available. Forgot user ID, some conditionally some data will come, guys. Conditionally some data will come, like if condition, else condition, loops will be available. Enter your user ID using standard keyboard. Okay, login with virtual keyboard. See here, when I click on this tab, the data is changing. This is manipulating the DOM element. When I click on login with virtual keyboard is displaying. When I click on the second tab, the display is changing. Without reloading the page, my page display is changing. This is called manipulating the DOM element conditionally. If this button clicked, if this menu, if this tab clicked, display virtual keyboard. If this tab clicked, just display the text field. So like this, we are manipulating the view. We are manipulating the view. To manipulate the view, we are going to use directives. We are going to use directives. What is a directive? Directives are used to manipulate DOM elements in the template. That means executing the presentation logic based on conditions. We can execute presentation logic. We can execute presentation logic based on conditions like if, else, loops, etc. We can execute presentation logic based on the conditions like if, else, loops, etc. using directives. Okay, directives are used to execute the presentation logic based on the conditions. Directives are used to manipulate DOM elements in the template. Directives are used to manipulate DOM elements in the template. What is a pipe? Pipes are used to transform the data before displaying, like convert lowercase data to uppercase, lowercase to uppercase, INR to USD, INR to USD, like DD/MM/YY is available to DD/MM/YYY, like this. So if you want to convert the data, transform the data from one format to another format, then we are going to use a concept called pipes. Pipes are used to transform the data before displaying. Pipes are used to transform the data before displaying. Lowercase to uppercase, INR to USD, DDD/MMYY, DD/MMYY, like this. Pipes are used to transform the data before displaying. Directives are used to manipulate DOM elements in the template. Dependency injection is the process of injecting dependent object into target object. In Angular applications, services will be injected into component. Service means reusable business logic. Module is nothing but a collection of components, directives, and pipes. Data binding is the process of binding data between component property and view element in template file. Template is a view where we will write our business presentation logic. Okay, metadata nothing but data about the data. The relation between the component and template will be available in the metadata. What is a component? Angular application is collection of components. In components, we'll write the logic to send the data to template and capture the data from the template. Components are TypeScript classes. Okay, guys, are you able to understand? Are you guys able to understand what is Angular architecture? Are you guys able to understand what is Angular architecture? Okay. Yes or no? Are you clear with each component here? Module is nothing but collection of components, templates, services. Module means collection of components, services, and templates. Module means collection of components, services, collection of components, templates, and services. Module means collection of components, templates, and services. Component contains logic to send and receive data. Component contains logic to send and receive data. It is TypeScript class. It is a TypeScript class. We can consider component as a controller kind of thing. Service, then next one, template. Template is a HTML file which contains a presentation logic. Template is a HTML file which contains presentation logic. Data binding is used to send and receive data between component and template. Data binding is used to send and receive data between component and template. Directives are used to manage the service. Service contains business logic. Service contains business logic. It is TypeScript class. DI is used to inject dependency injection. means injecting one object into another object. Inject one object into another object. Directives are used to manipulate DOM elements. Directives are used to manipulate DOM elements. Pipes are used to transform the data. Pipes are used to transform the data before display. Directives and pipes we are going to use directly in the template because data will be displayed by using template. Before displaying the data, we want to transform. So before displaying the data, we are going to transform the data by using pipes concept. By using pipes concept. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Are you able to understand the Angular architecture? Are you guys able to understand Angular architecture now? Clear, na? Very good. Angular is a client-side framework developed by Google company. Angular framework is used to develop the front end of the application. Angular is developed by Google. It is used to develop front end of the application. Angular supports multiple devices, supports multiple browsers. It is free and open source. Angular JS and Angular both are not same. From Angular 2 version onwards, it is called Angular framework. Angular 1 is called Angular JS. The current version of Angular is 15. Okay, Angular building blocks. Components will be available. Metadata will be available. Template will be available. Data binding, module, service, dependency injection, directives, pipes. If you want to work with the Angular, you should know these building blocks. Angular application nothing but collection of components. Component represents a portion in the web page. Component represents a portion in the web page. Component represents a portion in the web page. Metadata. Metadata represents the relation between the component and template. Every component will have a template. Which component belongs to which template will be represented by metadata. Component nothing but a TypeScript class which contains the logic to send the data to template and capture the data from the template. Metadata will represent the relation between the component and template. Template is a HTML file. Template represent presentation logic. To send the data from component to template, template to component, we will use a data binding. Module nothing but collection of components, templates and services, right? Service nothing but a TypeScript class which contains the business logic. Actually, we will write the logic to access the backend APIs. Front-end application should talk to backend application. That backend logic we will write inside the service class only. Communication between the front end and back end will happen through service class. Service is a TypeScript class. Inside the service class, we will write the functions to access the back end REST APIs. Front end logic will be available, back end logic will be available. Front end will be developed by using Angular. Backend will be developed by using REST API. How the integration will happen between the front end application and back end application? Through service class. So service class should be accessed by the component. Service class should be injected into component. Then only component can call the methods of the service. To inject the service into component, we will use a concept called dependency injection. We will use a concept called dependency injection. Dependency injection is used to inject one class object into another class object. Then next one, directives. What is the purpose of directives? Directives are used to manipulate the DOM elements. That means I want to display the presentation logic based on some conditions. For that, we will go for directives. Then what is the pipes? Pipes are used to transform the data. Pipes are used to transform the data before displaying. I want to transform the data from one format to another format. For that, we will use a concept called pipes. Look at the architecture once again. Look at the architecture once again. You got the clarity? What is Angular? Guys, you got the clarity on what is Angular architecture now? All of you comfortable? For Java people, it is very easy to understand the Angular because almost Java concepts are available here. Service classes, components, presentation, data binding, dependency injection. These all are Java related. For Java people, it is easy to learn the Angular. Okay, so we will develop one simple application by using Angular and we will run that application. Let us see. Environment setup is also completed. We are able to install the Node.js. We are able to install the TypeScript. We are able to install the Angular CLI and we installed VS Code IDE also. Node.js installed, TypeScript installed, Angular also installed today. VS Code IDE is already available. We are done with Angular setup. Let's start building Angular applications. Create the workspace folder. I created my workspace folder. I opened my IDE. In the IDE, ng workspace, it is pointing to ng workspace. There is nothing available in my folder. ng workspace I created, it is empty. In this, I want to create one Angular application. From the VS Code IDE, directly you can create the application. What is the command to create the application? To create Angular application, we will execute the below command. ng space, new space, app name. That's it. It will take a lot of time to create the application, guys. ng new app1. ng nothing but Angular new app1. ng new app1, it is used to create the Angular project. Enter. I'm trying to create the Angular project by using ng new command. Would you like to add Angular routing? No, I don't want any routing now. In future, we will see. Do you want to use a CSS? Yes. Now, see, it is going to create the Angular application. It will take 2 to 3 minutes of time to create the Angular application because it has to download a lot of required packages. Lot of required node packages it is going to install, then only Angular application will be created. Angular application creation is a time-taking process, but it is a one-time activity. Yes, now see here how I am creating Angular application. Create workspace folder in your file system. Open command prompt from your workspace folder, then type code space dot, then it will open VS Code IDE from that folder. Open terminal in the VS Code IDE to execute our commands. To create Angular application, execute the below command. ng new app name. With this Angular application will be created. Once the Angular application is created, simply we can run the application by using ng serve command. Simply we can run the application by using ng serve command. Once application got created, navigate into that application folder and execute the below command to run the Angular application, which is ng serve command. Once the Angular application is started, we can access that application by using this URL. Angular will use the live server internally. That server will run on the port number 4200. Okay, see the VS Code, still project is creating. Still project creation is in progress, guys. See, it is taking a lot of time. It is taking a lot of time. Yes, finally, it is created, guys. Finally, my application got created. Which command I used to create the application? Which command I used to create the application, guys? I used a command called ng new app name. Simple, ng new app name. It created the application. Once the application is created, you can see app1 is the name of the application. App1 is created. Go inside the app1. Lot of folder structure is available. We will discuss that folder structure in the next session. Okay, just one project is created. Now go inside the project folder. App1 is the name of the project. Okay, cd space app1, cd space app1. Once you enter inside the project, execute a command called ng serve command. What is the purpose of ng serve command? ng-serve command is used to run the application. ng-serve command is used to run the Angular application. ng-serve command is used to run the Angular application. See here, Angular application is getting executed. Simple. I created the project by using this command. I entered inside the project directory in the command prompt. I executed ng-serve command. When I execute ng-serve command, it is trying to build my project and it will run my project. It will build my project and it will run my project. It will build my project and it will run my project. See here, project is compiled successfully and it is running successfully. Project is running. They are saying that Angular live development server is listening on the localhost port number 4200. Open your browser on this URL. So when you access this URL, your Angular application will open. Localhost :4200. Yes. So this is my Angular application which is running now. Localhost :4200. Localhost :4200. When I access localhost :4200, my application is running. Angular default web page is displaying. How to customize this default web page? Go to src app. Here you have app.component.html. In the app.component.html, remove the existing content. Just write welcome to Angular development. Welcome to Angular development. I modified the content in the template HTML. Come here, welcome to Angular development. Welcome to Angular development. Are we able to see the response which is modified? Are you able to see the response which is modified? Welcome to Angular development. Where I have modified the response. Now, after doing this, go to, we can modify default response. We can modify default response in app.component.html file. Okay, so what is the path? src app.component.html. You go inside this directory and change the text. src is available in the project. In the app1, project name, then src. Inside the src we have app. Inside the app.component.html. Welcome to Angular development. Welcome to Angular development at Ashokite. I changed the text. When I changed the text, automatically the text is reflecting. When I change the text, automatically that text is reflecting. Welcome to Angular development at Ashokite. So what are the steps I have done? I have created one Angular application. I have executed the Angular application. Angular application is running on the port number 4200. So by default, it is giving some response. We can modify default response in app.component.html. Go to project name. Go to project name folder. Go to project folder. Go to project folder. src. In the src app, in the app.component.html file, edit this file. Edit this file. Whatever the change you keep in that file, that change will reflect in the browser. If I write like this, h2, I'm a full stack developer. I am working on full stack. I'm working on full stack. See here, I'm working on full stack. So first message is coming, second message is coming. See, when I make the change, automatically it is reflecting. When I make the change in the template file, automatically it is reflecting. Automatically it is reflecting. Do you want to learn? Do you want to learn? See, do you want to learn? It is coming. So where is this response from? Where this response is coming? This response is coming from a template, app.component.html. That is a template file. If you see the Angular template HTML will be available, which contains the presentation logic. Okay. So the expectation is, I want you people to work on Angular installation and create first application by using Angular and run the first application by using Angular. Okay, guys. Can you guys do this before coming to next session? Can you guys do this before coming to next session? Okay, fine. So tomorrow we have a Docker class na morning for few people. Yes. Tomorrow evening we don't have any class, guys. Angular next class is there on Monday. So tomorrow Saturday and this Saturday and Sunday Angular class is not available. So please practice the TypeScript and please practice first program on Angular. We have our next class for the Angular on the Monday. Okay. I will upload the class notes in the portal. Please practice that and we'll meet again on the Monday. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Monday. Bye bye.